Welcome, my name's Karen Hollenback. Today I'm going to share with you how to leverage LinkedIn to help your career growth. I'm the founding director of Think Bespoke. I'm an independent LinkedIn trainer, which means I'm not employed by LinkedIn. And Think Bespoke is a Melbourne-based consultancy that specialises in LinkedIn training. So in this session, I'm going to take you through a brief introduction to LinkedIn, explain some of its benefits, help you get started with LinkedIn, and take you through the free resources available to you to help you make the most of LinkedIn. To make this session more helpful for you, I encourage you to either be logged into LinkedIn on your device, whatever device you're on, and you might like to download the app onto your mobile. If you're not a LinkedIn member yet, membership is free and it will take you about 10 minutes to set up the basics and a little bit more time than that, up to an hour or so, to create a LinkedIn profile. So how does LinkedIn nurture your career growth? Well, I'm so glad you asked. There's lots of different ways. So LinkedIn is a key resource for job seekers, employers, recruiters, and business. And even though it might seem like social media when you're on there, it's not. So I really want you to think of LinkedIn as a professional networking platform. It's a place where you can stay meaningfully connected with your professional community and where you can learn from others. And in this way, it's quite different from other more social media platforms. I'm also going to share with you today the way you can engage on LinkedIn. And we're going to look at what a great LinkedIn profile looks like and some of the features that are available to you as both a job seeker or someone who may have their own business. So how can you make the most out of LinkedIn? So I want you to imagine LinkedIn is like a virtual room. So your profile, and when you're spending time on LinkedIn, is you. So in that way, when we write about ourselves on our LinkedIn profile, especially in the about section and the experience sections, which I'll explain more soon, or I'll explain more about soon, I want you to write in the first person. So that means you writing about you. So in the same way, when you introduce yourself or you're chatting to other people, you would talk in the first person. So create a LinkedIn account if you haven't already done that. Follow relevant topics and companies. So there are local and global thought leaders on LinkedIn across many, many industries. It's also a place where there are recruiters, hiring managers, and headhunters. So you can research jobs, look at company cultures and opportunities for jobs with companies, and learn industry news from peak bodies and relevant educational institutions. You can enroll in LinkedIn learning courses, but remember this, LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft and it's a for-profit platform. So you will always be prompted when you're on LinkedIn to upgrade to premium. I want to encourage you to stay with the free LinkedIn account for the time being, at least, because if you are a member of your local library, you should be able to access LinkedIn Learning for free, which is sold by LinkedIn as a reason to upgrade to premium. However, you can access this resource free. So I'll talk about that a little bit more soon. So like any habit or skill that you want to develop, I do encourage that you spend time on LinkedIn each week. So if you're spending time on more social media platforms, just shave off a small percentage of that time and spend 5 minutes or so every other weekday on LinkedIn. Also have a look around at your professional connections, people who you work with, people who you've played sport with, people who you went to school with, and make sure you're connected with them on LinkedIn. They don't have to be your friends. Being connected with someone doesn't mean that they're endorsing you for skills. It's a great way to keep track of your network because it's your network who will create job and business opportunities for you over time. People do business and create opportunities for people who they know, like, and trust. And that's why taking a bit of a community mindset to your activity on LinkedIn is also a really good way to make the most of your time on LinkedIn. So you can cheer your colleagues, friends, and people you know from the sidelines by liking and commenting on their updates in your LinkedIn newsfeed. And of course, I also encourage you to tend to your LinkedIn garden. Now, what does that mean? If you haven't noticed, my logo is a tree and you haven't seen the plants behind me, you may not have worked out that I am a gardener. So this idea of tending to your LinkedIn garden is making sure your profile is representing the most accurate version of your unique skills and background, and also reflecting your goals for your career and your reasons for being on LinkedIn. So let's explore that a little bit more. The online landscape, where does LinkedIn fit relative to more social media platforms? So I like to think TikTok is the platform that will teach you some dance moves. Instagram is a glossy online magazine for brands and influencers. Facebook is for friends and family. Twitter is for politics and activists, and LinkedIn is really for business. And it's a place where people, business and career, and it's a place where people will research you online. So it's your opportunity to take control of the information available about you online. And if you're an active job search or you're an inherently private person, as am I, you might want to look at locking down some of your privacy settings if you're on Facebook or Instagram or any other more social media platform. And in this way, when people Google you, which they will if you're applying for jobs or your name's being mentioned, the opportunity is that you want your LinkedIn profile to come up and for that to showcase your professional self. So if you haven't Googled yourself recently, I encourage you to type in your name from someone else's phone or the library computer and see what comes up. And you might be surprised as to the comments that you make on social media, how searchable they are. So it's an opportunity for you to make sure you're in control of your online reputation, especially as your career grows. So you can create a LinkedIn profile in less than 10 minutes. So to get started, visit linkedin.com or download the LinkedIn app from your phone. Provide your email and create a password. And do know that the apps that you have on your phone do have this sort of back end way of talking to each other. So the email that you will use may trigger people who are already on LinkedIn to get a message saying, oh, your connection or your friend or someone you know, and they'll be able to work out that from the sort of back end of your devices has just joined LinkedIn. So do be aware of that and then move through the prompts. And if you're worried about your privacy, I don't want you to worry about it. I just want you to take control of your privacy. So once, and this applies to LinkedIn and all platforms. So once you've updated or started to create your LinkedIn profile, you can go to the privacy and settings on your LinkedIn profile and click through all the prompts to make sure you're in control of the information that people can find out about you. And as I mentioned, I think LinkedIn is the place to share all of the relevant professional and education information about yourself. So don't be shy about sharing all of that information for people who potentially want to employ you or other people, depending on your goals for LinkedIn. So the LinkedIn learning component is also a really interesting part of your LinkedIn experience. And I'm going to talk to you more about being active on LinkedIn or using it for research. But this slide is really about encouraging you to think about the different ways that you can use LinkedIn Learning. So you can learn business, creative and tech skills with online video tutorials, in-demand skills that you can access anytime from your phone or whatever device that you're using when you're logged into LinkedIn, and expert-led courses with interviewing skills, Excel, marketing and social media. Now, importantly, these are relatively lightweight training, so they're not going to replace certificates, diplomas, advanced diplomas, degrees, and postgraduate qualifications. However, if you're, depending on where you are in your career, if you have a genuine interest in upskilling in some particular areas, that's a great way to develop as a professional. So have a really good look through LinkedIn Learning. And this is something you can access once you have a LinkedIn membership. And you can go to, now this is Maribyrnong City Council's website. I've spoken to your librarian there, and you go in on this link here, the library website link here. You go to the resources page, and in the drop down menu, you go to the library portal. And on that page, you will see this LinkedIn Learning. So all of the different elements that I showed you in that last slide, you can research and access. Now, most librarians know this as Linda. So if you're asking, if you don't yet have a library membership and you're going in and organising your library membership and you're wanting to log in to LinkedIn, make sure you're saying to them, use the reference to Linda or LinkedIn Learning to help them help you. All right, now there's also my professional profile checklist. What I'm going to do now is show you how to tend to your LinkedIn garden. So if you've already got a LinkedIn profile created, there's going to be some great tips here I'm going to share with you that will allow you to refresh your LinkedIn profile. If you haven't created a LinkedIn profile at all, these tips will take you through. So if you go to Think Bespoke's website to the resources page, you will see the opportunity to download this professional profile checklist that is a summary of many of the things I'm sharing with you today. So please make sure you take the time to do that. thinkbespoke.com.au. So before making any changes on your LinkedIn profile or before writing your LinkedIn profile, there are two questions you really need to consider. And that is, when I am on LinkedIn, what do I want to be known for? So when people come to your LinkedIn profile for the first time, is that reflecting the key things that you want to be known for? And I mean that in a professional context, your skills and experience, and also the way that you conduct yourself. If you're an active community member, if you've done voluntary work, if you like helping people, that's also the how that you approach your professional life. So have a good think about, well, what do I want to be known for? And does my LinkedIn profile accurately reflect that? And use this lens as you create or make changes on your LinkedIn profile. Also think about, well, who am I trying to influence when I'm on LinkedIn? So if you're an active job search, or you're wanting to be considered for internships, or you're making a career transition, or you're thinking about going for an internal promotion, these are all considerations in terms of writing and refreshing your LinkedIn profile. So do have a think about these things before making any updates. Now, the most important part of your profile, and there are a couple of key elements, but if you want to accept this idea that LinkedIn is a virtual room and your LinkedIn profile is you networking and engaging professionally as you, then you will accept the idea that your LinkedIn profile photo is a really important part of how you show up on LinkedIn. So you wouldn't walk into a room with a paper bag over your head, and that's why you should have a LinkedIn profile photo, and you will get a significant larger number of views on your profile if you have a photo. So I've got lots of examples here of different profile photo shots that I like. Importantly, try to smile and look approachable. Try to do a head and shoulder shot. Think about your background image and wear the clothing that you would be more inclined to wear professionally. While you might love your fur baby, your dog, or your cat, or you might have looked really good recently at a friend's 21st or a 30th or a wedding or engagement, that clothing may not be appropriate in the context for the way you need to look on LinkedIn. And bring your own unique personality. So make sure if you like colors, which I do, I've got my green top on my LinkedIn profile. We can see here this person has a great necklace. This person here has got a pop of color. So make sure you're reflecting what's relevant to you and what you feel comfortable in and how you want to present your professional self. You can also customize your LinkedIn headline. Now, I have recently updated my profile photo. So the photo that you see here is not the green top that if you went to my LinkedIn profile, you would see now. And I do change my profile photo from time to time. So this LinkedIn headline really does follow you around when you're liking and commenting on LinkedIn. So make sure that you either have it as the default, which is your current role and the organization that you work for, or tinker with it and use some of the 220 characters available to you to demonstrate to people what you want to be known for and who you're trying to influence, what you stand for. So I am an entrepreneur, and founding director of a business. So the relevant parts of my LinkedIn profile in the context of what I'm talking to you about here are really these ones: company director, corporate escapee, LinkedIn strategist, LinkedIn profile writer. This subscribe to my link to my newsletter is a call to action that may not be relevant to you. So really, I want you to focus on those first parts of the headline in the context of what I mean by customizing the headline. And don't just use my profile and the example I've given you here as an example. What you should be doing is researching industry-specific examples, leaders in your industry. Have a look at their LinkedIn profiles, have a look at how they've approached them. Some of them might not be active on LinkedIn. So I'm wanting you to look at those profiles where people have clearly spent time tending to their LinkedIn garden and see what's appropriate for your industry. The About section may just be the hardest part of your LinkedIn profile to write. I do really want to encourage you, though, to spend time writing about yourself. Now, do know that you have 2,600 characters available to you in this section. You don't have to use all of that section, all of that space, but do know that LinkedIn only showcases the first 1 or 2 lines and people have to click on see more. So when you're writing this part of your profile, do consider, what do I want to be known for? Who am I trying to influence? Give the reader a sense of who you are, what you believe in, and your credentials. Now, if you're not sure about this section of your profile and how to write it, again, go over to Think Bespoke's website, thinkbespoke.com.au, and you'll see there's some great resources there about how to write this section of your LinkedIn profile, including a 5-step process. You might also like to write this on Word first before uploading it to your LinkedIn profile, and make sure you're checking that you're not going beyond the 2,600 characters. Now, in the experience section, this is where I want to talk to you about how your profile is probably a little bit different from the way you write your resume. So your resume is something that you will use to actively apply for jobs. You can have a master resume that will have a lot of detail in each experience section, and you should adapt your resume and your cover letter for each new role you're applying for. Your LinkedIn profile is different to your resume. It's more of a summary. It gives a sense of more of the what and the how. So what your skills are and how you approach your professional life and what you care about. So it's more general, but it needs to be consistent with your resume in your active job search. So you've got 2 choices in terms of how you approach the experience section of your LinkedIn profile. You may write nothing. It might be quite so I want you to have your title and the organization, but in the description section, you may write nothing. And it could be fairly self-explanatory what it is that you do in that role. Do make sure, if you're currently employed, with your experience section that you're listing the organization correctly. Most small, medium and large organizations now do have a company page. So take the time to check that the organization that you're working for or have worked for previously, that you're listing that organization correctly. You also now have the option to list relevant skills. So you can add skills here that you have that relate to this role. And if you've already filled in the 50 skills section in that separate section in your LinkedIn profile, you can go in and edit those skills and link them to specific roles. So you'll need to be clicking in your LinkedIn profile to understand that better. So again, give the reader a sense of what you are responsible for in that role and shine a light on what's relevant to who you wish to influence. So this is more of a snapshot than a detailed position description of everything that you've done in this role and in previous experience. And for those of you who might have more than 10 years or so experience, I do say go back at least 10 years in your experience on your LinkedIn profile, and go back even further if it's relevant in the context for your goals for LinkedIn. All right, so for job seekers, if you're in active job search, you can activate that you're looking for work via your LinkedIn profile. So you do that via the open to section below the picture at the top of your LinkedIn profile. You can either let your whole network know that you're open to work, and you can specify the types of roles and the location. You can list up to 5 titles and I think up to 5 locations. You can just let recruiters know, which means you don't get that green ring around your LinkedIn profile photo. And remember, if you're currently employed and you don't want your employer to know that you're in active job search, you will not be letting your whole network know that you're looking for work. You can also set up job alerts. So this applies for, you might be studying, you might be thinking about your career prospects, you might be thinking about making a career change, you might be in active job search, all of those things. So I encourage you to set up job alerts to keep track of the roles that are currently being advertised on LinkedIn. And this can help you in a number of ways. It can help you with the language that you would use to describe your particular skills in your resume, and potentially also in parts of your LinkedIn profile when you think about the skills that recruiters, hiring managers, and headhunters are looking for. It also helps you research job opportunities and make some decisions, but potentially about upskilling in areas of education if they're looking for specific qualifications or skills. And it helps you see which recruiters are hiring for different jobs. So set up the job alerts. The best way to do that is to click on jobs, go through the process of looking for a particular type of role in a particular type of area and at the geographic location. And at the end of that, LinkedIn will prompt you to set up a job alert. So if you are running a business or you have a side hustle and you'd like to claim your real estate on LinkedIn, there's an increasing number of free features available for freelancers, consultants, and businesses. So there's the providing services feature on your LinkedIn profile. That's also available via the open to button just below your picture and your headline. And that allows you to list the different services that you are providing. So it doesn't have every single service. It's not a product-based feature. So have a look at that if that's relevant for you. You can also set up a company page, and that's how you would get your logo, your organization or your brand's logo on the experience section of your LinkedIn profile. So that is a free feature. You can just set it up as a directory, or you can post. Have a look at that feature and see if that's relevant for you. All right, so we're now going to take a look at how to be more active on LinkedIn. One of the things I love about LinkedIn is that it can be such a great resource for you from a research perspective. So what I want to do here is really explain the difference between the private and the public element of your LinkedIn activity. So the private part of your activity on LinkedIn is you being able to do research. So you can look at what companies are doing on LinkedIn. You can look at other people's profiles. Do be aware that the default when you're looking at other people's profiles is people can see you looking. So if you have your profile as completely visible, you will be able to, other people will be able to see that you're looking. And with a free account, you can see the last 5 people who viewed your profile. So if you're in those early days of setting up your LinkedIn profile, you might like to click your profile into anonymous viewing mode or private mode, so people can't see you looking. But I do think it's a good idea, once you're proud that your LinkedIn profile represents you, that you do view other people's profiles and that they see you looking. It's a good conversation starter. The other private things, and what I mean by private is your whole LinkedIn network don't see you doing this. So it's a great research tool if you tend to have more introverted tendencies, or you don't feel the need to sort of be liking, commenting and having things come up in your newsfeed. It might not be relevant for your goals for LinkedIn. Then you're going to be focusing more on this private activity. So you would want to be building connections. So you should be connected with everyone you know on LinkedIn. I mentioned before that people create opportunities for people who they know, like, and trust. So do make sure you have a think about all your professional and personal connections and that you're connected with them on LinkedIn. And you can also message people privately. So there's some great features in LinkedIn messaging with your first degree connection. So people you're already connected with via the phone. So you can introduce people so they can look at other people's profiles. You can leave audio messages via the messaging feature with your community. And if you're someone who prefers to leave an audio message than write a message, that could be a really good tool for you to use when you're networking with your LinkedIn community. And then there's the public activity that you can do via your LinkedIn profile. So you can like and comment, and there's about 6 or 7 different reactions now you can have to the information coming through your LinkedIn newsfeed, which you can curate. You can choose to take control of what you're seeing through your LinkedIn newsfeed to a point. There's still going to be promoted posts that will reach you that you can't remove. And then publicly, you can share photos from events, links with commentary, and lots of other things. And I'll show you some of those in a moment. So depending on your profile settings, and the default is people will see your activity, then when someone comes to your profile for the first time, they can see what you're liking and commenting on. They're probably going to be more focused on what's in your LinkedIn profile. So once someone's connected with you, what you like and comment on is really what your other connections will see, because once they're connected with you, they probably won't go back and look at your LinkedIn profile very much, unless, say, they're introducing you to an opportunity or a colleague. So I mentioned before this idea of creating a great LinkedIn newsfeed. Now, by default, LinkedIn tends to treat everyone like a job seeker, which might be great. That might be exactly how you want your newsfeed to look. However, I would encourage you to take control of your LinkedIn newsfeed and make a list of the industry peak bodies relevant to your focus, the companies who are leaders in the space that you work in or would like to transition to work in or are researching working in. Search for them on LinkedIn and follow them. Now, importantly, check that the organizations are posting regularly, because you'll find you'll learn a lot about the company culture, the way they do things, and their job opportunities, which is a great reason to follow them on LinkedIn. Also, once you start following, so you go up into the search, type the company name, make sure it's the right one, it's in the location that you're interested in. Once you follow that company, have a look at LinkedIn suggestions for similar companies and follow them too. So this is a great step in really improving your LinkedIn newsfeed and your LinkedIn user experience, because if you're curating what you're following, you're going to see more relevant information, and it's helping serve your goals for LinkedIn. Because if you think about what do I want to be known for and who am I trying to influence, and you want to be more active on LinkedIn, then you might also like to follow topics and areas of interest that are relevant to your professional goals, and you can then like and comment on them and get into conversations with other members of your LinkedIn community. So how you can do that is when I've got an example from Maribyrnong City Council here and an example from Mohammed. So you can like, comment, share, or send. And these are the different reactions available via LinkedIn at the moment. So you can like, support, celebrate, say that it's funny, love, say it's insightful and curious. And I did a sort of a poll recently, and these and the love seem to be the ones people use the most, but you should use what's relevant for you. You can also comment. Don't forget to use the and feature, which will catch the person's name and bring it to their attention if that's relevant, and also the organization. And just use your discretion here about what's appropriate to comment on publicly, because if you mention someone's name, all of their connections who are on LinkedIn that day will also see it. And you can, if you're want to be more discreet and send information privately, you can click on send and send the information via private messaging. And at the time of recording this, that there's a bit of talk about this share feature changing, but you can click on that and have the option to repost without a comment or repost with a comment to your own LinkedIn feed. So have a think about, excuse me, what's relevant to you and what you're trying to achieve on LinkedIn. And I don't want you to necessarily feel this pressure to like and comment on things. It's going to be relevant to how you're using LinkedIn as a tool, and whether you want to just make sure you've got a great looking LinkedIn profile for when recruiters or headhunters or internal colleagues or fellow people that you're studying with are looking you up. Or it might be more relevant for you if you're wanting to raise your profile online to like and comment and share updates. And I'm going to show you shortly how to share updates on LinkedIn. So to post an update on LinkedIn, you go into this section of your LinkedIn profile when you're in your LinkedIn newsfeed. If you're not sure how to get to your LinkedIn newsfeed and you thought there was just your profile and that was it and that's new news to you, then do click in the top part of your LinkedIn experience on the LinkedIn icon, and that will take you to your newsfeed. So when you click into start a post, you've got the option to share a photo, a video, a job if you're hiring, writing an article. The ones I recommend you use are to think about mentioning companies and people if that's relevant. And if you're not sure how to do this, take the time to look at how other professionals are doing this in your LinkedIn newsfeed. Really take some time to observe what's going on. You could have an interesting article that you've picked up on LinkedIn or that you've read from another resource. You can include that link with a commentary and share it with your community. You can share a video with commentary. Make sure anyone who's in that video, you have permission to share it. The same with the photo. You can share a saved photo, or you can take it as you're sharing it. You can give kudos to others in your world, or you can share that you've started a new role. You can use relevant hashtags. So LinkedIn will often prompt you when you start typing in based on the information that you're putting into your update. Press post, and if you think, oh, there's a typo, or hang on, I missed someone's name, or I forgot to mention this, you can edit your updates later. And then to get notifications when people have interacted or liked or commented on your updates, you can see those in your notifications from your device. So there we have it. Lots of examples of how you can better understand LinkedIn. You can spend some time tending to your LinkedIn garden. Don't forget to download my professional profile checklist from Think Bespoke's website. Do imagine that LinkedIn is a virtual room. Do make sure you take the time to tend to your LinkedIn garden. If you haven't created a LinkedIn account, I hope this is the opportunity to encourage you to do so. Curate your LinkedIn newsfeed and follow relevant topics and companies, and know that this is a great resource for you to learn and research jobs, companies, and industry news. If it's relevant for you, if it's piqued your interest, pop down to your library, make sure that you're a member and inquire with the very helpful librarians about how to access LinkedIn Learning. If you've already logged in with your library membership, follow those prompts that I shared with you with the library website. Spend time on LinkedIn each week. Research and observe what other people are doing on LinkedIn to inform your LinkedIn activity. Take the time to build relationships and make connections with your community. Continue conversations in real life on LinkedIn. Cheer your community on. So I hope this has given you the tools to tend to your LinkedIn garden. My name is Karen Hollenback. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find me on LinkedIn. Follow me there for regular updates about LinkedIn, or visit Think Bespoke's websites for lots of free resources, thinkbespoke.com.au.